This section is going to focus on the global shift of the rise and decline of the Islamic world and the ultimate rise of the West. I can't think of a more important chapter to really understand much of what's going on now. So, of course, we're taking this information that's going over the topics derived from chapter 21 in your textbook. And there's a lot of information as usual. But here I'm going to try to draw out in the lecture certain aspects of things that will be helpful in understanding this so-called clash of civilizations. And I'm going to kind of try to dispel some of that myth, but also show the context of where we even get this idea. And as we look at the Middle East and we look at the U.S. Involvement in Islamic countries now, there seems to be still this kind of idea of the Christian West versus the Islamic world. So let's just take a look at some aspects of this history. Now, in the past, Islam was a major superpower, but this is kind of how these pictures I have here are kind of how we see the world. Somali pirates in poverty. So we look at Somalia, for instance, an Islamic country that once did thrive on trade, not thriving. Then we look at the United States. Here's home in Beverly Hills. So I just kind of want you to think about, how did we get there? It wasn't always this extreme in the imbalance. And so we're going to look further. So right now we're dealing with the topics. We're going to go over really 3 Islamic kingdoms and several lectures, and these are going to help us kind of understand what's going on. Sorry, it's always sometimes I get my train of thought all messed up. Anyways, so if you look at the purple, we have the Ottoman Empire, which is now Turkey. Okay, Constantinople is Istanbul, right? This would be Turkey, modern Turkey. It covers all the way into, Eastern Europe, Serbia, and we're going to discuss that in detail. And the Ottoman Empire went all the way down through the Middle East, which is Palestine, or now modern day Israel as well, and Egypt. And then we also looked at the Safavid, or the Persian Empire. And over here we have the Mughal, or the Islamic Empire that existed in India. These 3 were both major players in the Islamic world, and also, I would say, very different histories. So I want you to think about it this way. North Korea is communist, and Cuba is communist. And while they may have similar icons and rhetoric, and they might have pictures of Marx and Lenin in some schools or something like that, or basically North Korea is a very different culture and a very different political culture, even though it's communist, than the way Cuba is, even though Cuba is also communist. And so I want you to kind of think about these 3 Islamic kingdoms as having similar certain things very similar and other things very, very different, okay? And then you can also notice what they're dominating here is the Indian Ocean. And we're going to talk about Indian Ocean trade quite a bit and the significance of that. So we go to Vasco da Gama, and he is going to crack open European markets into the markets that are a part of the Islamic world. So if you look here at Portugal, not far from the Middle East, but if you look in the Mediterranean Ocean here, it's blocked off right here, so it's locked in, or at least it was at the time. So sorry, I got the arrow bouncing all over the place. Explorers from Europe were trying to find a way to get to the Indian Ocean, and what he did is he sailed along the coast of Africa. You could see here, you could stop off you could get supplies, whatever, and then keep going around. And he was able to make it to the Indian Ocean. So he was the first European to reach India by sea. On his second voyage, he actually captured Arab vessels and he massacred Muslim pilgrims on the open sea. Why? He wanted to send a message of European superiority, like don't mess with this kind of thing. And he was very strongly anti-Islam. He demanded a Hindu ruler to expel all Muslims there. But that was really not the main objective that was of the interest of merchants or of the King of Portugal. The issue was setting up trading posts. And the continent was dominated by Muslim rulers, but it was also peppered with independent or semi-independent Hindu rulers as well. And at the end of the day, again, we're talking about Europe tapping into trade. So that's where I'm going to leave off this lecture, and then we're going to explore further.